My background?
Oh no, I was saying, yeah, I like your background.
Thank you. Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to Coda Stories. This is me, Sneha, and in today's episode, we have Karyn Nesby joining us all the way from Florida. Karyn is a specialist in coaching first-time leaders and creatives. Welcome to our show, Karyn. We are so happy to have you here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. So, what's your story, Karyn? We'd love to know more about you.
Yeah, so again, I'm Karyn Nesby, and I have a coaching business called KMN Coaching and Consulting. It's really to help first-time leaders, especially women leaders, and also I focus on women of color as well. So it is something that I came up with doing last June. I've always wanted to be a coach. I've been a mentor. I've done different leadership programs in my past, and when 2020 hit and everything just kind of went crazy, I was seeing all the stories about women pivoting out of their careers because of the things that had to happen at home, especially with taking care of the children and school, and really just trying to pivot as well. So I saw the statistics, and with layoffs, women were affected a lot in that realm. So it just became apparent to me that there might be a need to have coaching out there, especially when companies were cutting their budget for development for their employees as well. So for those folks who were still in there, and then those people who unfortunately got laid off or had to do some type of family transition during
Mhm.
last year, I wanted to be a support for those women as well. So that's where it came up, and I thought this is a great time to start looking into getting into coaching and offering some services.
Thanks, Karen. And I see that you specialize in coaching specifically first time leaders. So, how did that happen? What got you interested in that particular niche?
Yeah, it kind of came from my own journey. So I've been in design and technology for over 18 years, just in different roles and different industries, and got in an opportunity to become a people leader and went from an IC, an individual contributor, to a manager. And so it really showed me those opportunities that were there, that could really be kind of nurtured when there may not be a lot of development or programs in place to kind of show people what to do when you're making that transition. And so I wanted to provide services that really focused on first time managers. And I knew so many people who were actually getting promoted last year during COVID, and I'm thinking, first time manager, remote opportunities, trying to build a team in this remote workforce. So wanted to come up with some services to help them through that as well. So
Yeah, moving from being an individual contributor to a manager myself, I understand that's a big transition. And without help, that's not very easy. So I'm so happy that you've taken this this step ahead and started to have your own coaching business to help this specific group of people who are kind of struggling through that phase. That's cool,
yeah.
Karen. So what are some of the tips that you'd like to share for people who transition from being an individual contributor to management?
Yeah, I think it can be a daunting task at times, but hopefully your organization has mentors or development programs in place. But for you as an individual, I think 5 steps, really is take a self-assessment of yourself, understand what your strengths are and how they can be leveraged broader within this managerial position. Recognize that being a leader is a team sport. I think oftentimes people think it has to be all on you as a leader to make things happen and move toward the goals, but it really is a team sport, and understanding how to bring people along with you. Another thing is to be authentic. As you are an individual contributor and you're looking to maybe move up. And so we already know you have those great skill sets, but within the team, especially if it's a team that you're going to end up leading in the future, because that's also a tricky transition, is just to be authentic. Make sure that people know that you're there to help. You can help coach them. You definitely want to help bring other people along, as I was saying, and that team success is your success, and a people first mentality is key. So I think those are things to really kind of focus in on as you're doing those transitions, that can help you, get into that role and make things a little bit easier for you. And then just take a step back. You don't have all the answers. I think sometimes that title of manager and being a leader means you have people think they have to have everything, but that's why you have a team.
Oh,
So those are
absolutely.
some of
I
my
agree. Taking help from the team, right? Like leading the team while actually using all the resources correctly.
yeah. That's why it's a team
Yeah,
sport.
definitely. Yeah, I totally agree with everything that you said. Those were great points. So, for people who want to transition from being a lead into a manager, what are some things that you think they can do? What are some right steps that they can take to get into that position?
Yeah, I think again, I'll say just being authentic. You know, a lot of times when you're in a team and you know, hey, on my career path, it is to get to that, you know, manager role. You know, just be authentic. Just show up for your team. Be consistent in doing that because your skills are gonna or speak for themselves. You know, people want to um, be behind leaders who are positive, who are encouraging, and you have to show that while you're an individual contributor as well. So I think that those are things, especially, you know, and continue to be a constant learner. You know, people admire others that are really in it for the right reasons and they really want to grow and help the team. And so, you know, keep in mind when those opportunities come up, guess who they're going to ask? They're going to ask your peers, you know, what do you think about this person in a leadership role? You know, that might become a question. So you want to always put your best foot forward when you're in a team and thinking about making that change. So you don't have to run around trying to outshine everybody and overstep people and things of that nature. You still want to be, you know, a great teammate and contributor to the team while you're in that role as well.
Hmm. Thanks, Karen. These are
Yeah.
amazing points. I think they're super useful. And tell us a little bit more about your coaching. How does your coaching work, and how can someone sign up? And I know that you have group coaching as well. What are some of the benefits of group coaching?
Yeah, so I have a website at KMN Coaching and Consulting. Well, actually, it's just one word, kmncoachingconsulting.com. And so I have services for one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching. And so for specifically for group coaching, I came up with wanting to offer that service because I've been in group coaching sessions over my career. And oftentimes when you're doing one-on-one, you may not have that network outside of just, you know, what you're going through. So I felt like group coaching was a great offering because you can get people in there who are going through similar things or maybe have been on the journey you're trying to take, so everybody can learn together. And it's a safe space for you to kind of share what you're going through and actually figure out that you're not doing it alone. You know, oftentimes we have these scenarios and we're like, man, it just feels like it's just me going through this. And I could see how that could happen being in a remote workspace like all of us, you know, really were last year. And so,
Hmm.
and even kind of going into 2021, a lot of companies are staying on that path. So I think group coaching is a great opportunity to learn skills with other people. I walk you through processes of understanding your communication style, your leadership style, how to navigate and adapt within the team dynamics. That's also good for people who are individual contributors or who are first time managers as well. We come up with like a SWOT analysis together. We can even do a strengths assessment, which is part of my career mapping, which I'll be happy to talk about as well. But that's something that I'm really key in on is understanding what your strengths are.
Thanks, Karen. I was just going to get into career
So,
mapping. I
okay.
do know that you do career mapping for your cohort. So can you talk to us a little bit more about that? What is career mapping?
Yeah, so I am a standout assessment debrief coach. And so, you know, I have taken so many assessments. I'm sure we all have over our career. And you're like, what is this? You know, I'm a D and a F and an E and a, you know, and I went and took the standout probably about 5 years ago. And it focuses in on your two key roles that you kind of show up, that give you your edge, and that you can continue to build on. And within that, it also helps you kind of understand what roles may be a good fit for you and how you can leverage those opportunities. So within both of the packages I have for one-on-one as well as in the group cohort, doing that, we start off with a standout assessment. And so we kind of talk through that and see, you know, maybe there's other opportunities for you to pivot. Maybe you're on the right track, but you're not utilizing your strengths effectively. So we kind of talk about that and just kind of see, you know, how we can map out the best career path for you.
Okay, that's nice. So who is that useful for? Is it useful for people also who are, college students, graduates trying to figure out what career path they want to take, or is it for already people who are already in the workforce trying to see where they want to navigate to?
Yeah, I think the great thing about Standout is that it can be used for either, you know. So if you are someone who's coming out and you're getting into the workforce and, you know, the skill sets that you have, the strengths that got you there, you know, to graduate and do all that are going to maybe shift a little bit of how you have to use them when you get into the
Mm-hmm.
workforce. And so that's something that we can talk about during those sessions. And then those of us who've been in the workforce and you know, we're maybe getting a little stuck, seeing some bumps in the road and really trying to figure out what to do next. Really focusing in on those key strengths and talking about how you're using them today and maybe find some opportunities that you can leverage those further. And then talk more about like, you know, what your career journey looks like and I can
Mm-hmm.
help you shape that as well. So I think both
Nice.
find it useful.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks, Karen.
Yeah.
Um, I'd love to talk a little bit more about, personal branding, and what are some of your tips for people to improve their personal branding when it comes to career building and, trying to find a job and all of those good stuff.
Yeah, I think the first thing that I always think about when I think about personal branding is that it's personal, but it has to be beneficial to others, you know. So it's something that you are trying to take your skills and knowledge and combine those, really trying to distinguish yourself and be that trusted advisor, show that you have those subject matter expert skills. So it's really about what you bring to the table, what your edge is, what your superpower is, and really finding a way to showcase that how you can use it to achieve your goals, but also helping others so that they can see the contribution that you're bringing. So I think those are things to think about when you're really taking that self-assessment and saying, you know, what are the things that I'm really great at or what can I do? So if I'm great at research, you know, maybe I start a blog or, you know, maybe I, you know, do a research, you know, paper or something like that that I can also send in when I'm sending in my resume. You know, designers and
Mm-hmm.
those technology folks aren't the only people that have to show portfolios. You know, we have data scientists as well in tech. We have, you know, so people want to see the work that you do and help you kind of stand out. So make sure that you showcase that. And those are the times to really kind of try to set yourself apart.
Thanks, Karen. So when someone's thinking about their superpower, by like trying to figure out what their personal brand is, how to, build it for themselves, what are some things that you think that they should think of while coming up with those questions? What are some questions they need to ask themselves while trying to identify their superpowers?
Yeah, you know, I think, and it kind of goes back to the standout assessment that I give, which is leveraging your strengths. So first off,
Mm-hmm.
knowing what your strengths are, how you think you can leverage those, but also just you know what you're good at. You know, you should at this point, you know the things that you find that come easy to you. You maybe have gotten accolades around those. You can also leverage people that you trust that are mentors or trusted peers to kind of say, you know, hey, you know, what are some things that you see me showing up doing that you think are quality, you know, contributions that maybe I should try to navigate around. And so I think you kind of use your circle as well and kind of ask those
Mm-hmm.
questions to other people as you're taking inventory of the things that you enjoy doing. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
that superpower is actually something that makes you light up. You know, so I think you have to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah. That's a great point, and also a great tip that you mentioned over there to use the circle. Sometimes I've seen people sending emails out to like five of their friends, best friends, on some questions that they could ask that they think they're about their they think that their strengths are that they've observed in them. So kind of taking advantage of your taking help from your circle to,
Oh yeah,
just
because
gain those finds.
they'll come up with things that you might not even recognize, you know, and
Yeah.
you're thinking, oh, I thought I just was helping you out or I just did that. And that's actually something that maybe someone struggles with. So, you know, you can get really great information from your circle.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thanks, Karen. Another point that I wanted to touch on was imposter syndrome.
Oh,
So
yeah.
a lot of people, have that. And then what are some tips that you'd like to share with our audience today about imposter syndrome?
Yeah, you know, imposter syndrome is something that always continues to come up, you know, and I think a lot of times it kind of feeds off of that perfectionism sometimes that we have. And one thing I'll say is that per- imposter syndrome really is about what you're saying to yourself, the words, the language that you're saying when you're getting into situations that are maybe new to you. A lot of times, keep in mind when things are new, that's when it shows up, you know. So you have to be aware of those triggers, but a mindset shift. So when you're going into a situation and you're thinking, wow, I'm on this awesome team, what is it that I can contribute? Or, you know, you're talking self-doubt, you really need to try to figure out a way to reframe that and think, hey, yes, I'm on this great, awesome team. Look at the opportunities that I'm going to get to have. You know, visualization, you know, a lot of times, sometimes people get nervous when they have to do presentations. And if you kind of visualize the end game and that you're going to be successful, you know, that kind of helps as well, kind of calm your nerves, as well as maybe looking at people that you think are great presenters and taking some tips from them and try to incorporate it. But to me, it really starts with how you're speaking to yourself. If you're putting in those negative thoughts, that's going to continue to happen. But also realize that it's really about how you frame failure. You know, so if you're thinking, hey, I just did this thing and I just, oh, it was the worst. Everybody has a bad day. Everybody has an off day. But maybe do a retrospective on yourself in that situation and see what you can learn from it. But you have to, I think my last tip is really continue to put yourself out there. A lot of times when you get it, it kind of that fear sets in and you want to just run the flight part of that. But with imposter syndrome, you have to work through that. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to go into a meeting and come out feeling better. It's just something you'll have to continue to push forward to learn and grow and put yourself out there. Because if you clam up and you don't want to participate or you keep saying those negative things, that's not going to help you with your performance as well. So those are just a few tips that I have.
Thanks, Karen. I think imposter syndrome is something that everyone deals with. And the sooner we learn to deal with it, have our own strategies to cope with it, the better it is for us to, push through and really take up opportunities. There are so many opportunities that are available that we may end up passing only because we don't feel like, or this imposter syndrome kind of kicks in and says things like, there are people better than you to do it. And, things like that,
Yeah.
where we just pass on opportunities. So
Yeah.
I always advise people that the first thing that you have to deal with is figure out strategies to deal with imposter syndrome and, just go ahead. Thanks,
Yeah.
Karen. You shared amazing points over there.
Thank you.
And what are some of the parting thoughts that you'd like to leave our audience with today?
Yeah, I think also people think about a coach sometimes and they don't necessarily know when they should get a coach or if it'd be beneficial to them. And, sometimes, we have the skills and we can work through things ourselves. But when you feel stuck or you feel like, hey, I've tried everything, or I'm not sure if this is the right role for me, or even this is maybe it's not the right company fit for you, that's a great time to leverage a coach. You can have mentors inside your company that can help you navigate, set you up with other people to talk to, expose you to their network, talk about their experiences. But oftentimes the answers that you need are coming just from you. It's great to have examples, but a coach can help bring those out, and help you shift to a new opportunity. If it's something around money and that's a driver for you, that's where that career mapping comes into play. And we can kind of see, what your skill sets are that can cross over to get you into those new opportunities or those lateral moves. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're feeling any of that, those are all the conversations you can have with a coach. And so those are things that I would definitely point out, as kind of this parting words, is that, your coach wants you to be successful. That's something that I enjoy doing and working with people to do. So that's pretty much all I got right there for that. But I definitely wanted to note that I have giveaways for your audience if they mention that they listen to the podcast and they want to set up a discovery call with me. So very eager
Thank
to
you,
talk to
Karen.
everybody. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks. I will add all the details on how they can reach out to you in the description box below. And this was amazing. Thanks a lot for all of this information, Karen. So for those of you watching this, if you like this episode, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel. It's completely free to subscribe and you will get notifications when we upload our videos. And then all the links that you can reach out to Karen will be mentioned in the description box below. Go and reach out to Karen and mention that you reached out to her through Coda Stories and you'll get a discount. Thank you so much. And thanks, Karen, for joining today's show.
Yeah. Thank you.